Imagine you're browsing through a pile of old videotapes at a garage sale. You pick one that looks interesting and you take it home to watch. You pop into the VCR and you see a grainy image of a woman tied to a chair, screaming for her life. A masked man approaches her with a knife and you hear his voice saying, "Do you want to play a game?" You think it's a prank or a low-budget horror movie. You are wrong. You are watching the real-life recordings of a serial killer who terrorized a small town in New York for years and who was never caught. You are watching the Poughkeepsie Tapes. The film is set in the Poughkeepsie, a small town in New York, where the killer terrorized a resident for years and where he left behind a stash of over 800 tapes in his abandoned house. The film shows some of the most shocking and gruesome tapes, as well as the reaction and insights of the people who watch them. The film reveals the killer methods, motives, and madness, as well as the effects on his crimes on the victims, the investigators, and the society. This is not just a film, it's a nightmare. It's a pseudo-documentary horror film that follows the crimes of an unidentified serial killer who recorded his brutal acts on a videotapes. The film combines footage from the tapes, interviews with the experts, witnesses, and relatives of the victims, and commentary from the FBI agents who investigated the case. The film is not for a faint of heart, as it depicts scenes of the torture, murder, and sadism that are disturbing and realistic. The film is a masterpiece of a horror that achieves its effect by creating a sense of realism, immersion, and authenticity. The film does not rely on cheap jump scares, gore, or supernatural elements, but on the psychological terror and pressure that the killer inflicts on his victims and the audience. The film shocks and scares not only with the cruelty, but also with its plausibility. The film makes you believe that the event shown could happen to anyone, everywhere, anytime. The film is also a brilliant technical achievement with a clear and effective editing, a powerful and consistent video series, and a clever use of a pseudo-amateur camera. The film alternates the opinions of the FBI, the stories of eyewitnesses, and the other chronography with the terrible amateur shooting of the actions of the extreme sociopath. The film does not overplay with the killer's intelligence and abilities, but shows his methodicalness, calculation, and mimicry. The film does not irritate the eye, but focuses on the ruthless actions of the killer, his acting dramatic perversions, and a pleasant voice, transforming only when the victim has nowhere to run. The film does not end on the tapes. It spills over the entire film, even with its final, hinting that it's not even the end. The film leaves a lasting impression of a viewer and makes you question the nature of the evil, the limits of human endurance, and the possibility of justice. The film is not a fan horror movie for a family viewing or with the friends over chips and beer. This is a film that you need to watch alone, preferably at night in complete darkness. This is not a horror, this is a psychological drama. This is what you can feel for yourself, what you can believe in. The film is hard to rate because it's not a film that you can enjoy or like. It's a film that you can admire or hate, respect or despise, appreciate or reject. It's a film that is somewhere beyond the masterpiece and below the limit of the disgust and disgust. It is a film that you will not watch a second time, never. But it's a film that you should watch at least once. If you're a fan of a horror genre, or if you're curious about the dark side of human nature, it is a film that will challenge you, haunt you, and change you. It is a film that deserves 9 out of 10. But don't take my word for it. Watch it yourself if you dare. Just don't blame me if you can't sleep afterwards, or if you get a phone call from a mysterious voice saying, "I know what you did last summer," or if you find a tape on your doorstep with a note saying, "Play me." You have been warned. Thanks a lot for watching. Be the popcorn, like, subscribe, and see you in the next episode.